As we continue right here live on Pittsburgh CW, Bob Pompeani along with Ron Cook and you at 412-575-2600. A reminder to you, the Steelers and the Saints, 4:25 Sunday on KDKA. Right after the game, make the switch here to Pittsburgh CW. Chris Hoke and I will be on the air for 2 hours. We have interviews, we have analysis, and we'll take your phone calls as well, and that's a pivotal game. Ron, to me, it's very important that the Steelers can, if they can wrap this up this weekend, next week would be their kind of their pseudo bye week. Then they don't have to worry about the Bengals. They can rest certain people. But if they have to play that game to win that game, all of a sudden, you know, you're coming back the next week in a wild card weekend if you should win, but you won't get any time off.
Well, the only way it won't be at least important is if Baltimore loses. If Baltimore wins against the Chargers Saturday night, the Steelers at least will know where they stand going into the game. But if Baltimore happens to beat the Chargers, that last game could come down to meaning everything. And hopefully they won't need help from Cleveland beating Baltimore in the last game. So there's still a lot at stake. The perfect weekend for the Steelers. Baltimore loses Saturday. They win Sunday. That wraps up the division. Then they don't play Ben against Perfect. They don't play any of the running backs against Perfect. They don't play Antonio. Juju, who knows what his status is going to be. That's the perfect scenario. I have some doubts that that's actually going to happen, though.
That would be perfect, and it relieves them from putting any of those guys in, which is what they need heading into the postseason. So let's go to line one. Mike in Oakland. Hey, Mike, you're first.
Hey, Bob. How are you today?
Good. How are you today, Mike?
Good. Listen, just let you know with the technical issues, today when I gave my name and where I'm calling from, I can't hear the show at all until you just took the call before we can hear the show. So I just want to let you know about that.
I know we're having problems. We'll have it fixed by tomorrow, but I'm sorry you have to go through that. But what's on your mind? You can still ask a question.
Yeah. I just want to briefly talk about the Steelers. What's your thought if Juju is hurt and can't really go, is not at full strength? Obviously, James Washington's going to, hopefully fill in. But I'm really thinking that we have a decent shot at this game. I think that Cam Jordan comment about Ben, I think it's just an unnecessary comment that's not going to help. And I hopefully think Ben's going to take it and, maybe give a little payback during the game. But I just want to get your thoughts.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Ben is one of those guys, very competitive, highly proud of what he does. Cam Jordan in there sitting talking about not having him in his top five. Okay, whatever. That's all opinionated. But he also said, I'll take Eli Manning over Ben Roethlisberger. Okay, that may fall, Ron, under the category, be careful what you wish for. So we'll see what happens on Sunday.
I mean, it's just really stupid. I don't know what impact it'll have on the game.
But there's no need to do it.
But it can't possibly help New Orleans. I mean, Ben is driven to win, and I don't think he needs outside motivation. He knows what he's playing for. He's trying to win another Super Bowl before he's done. They lose this game, they may not even get a chance to get into the playoff, to win a Super Bowl. I don't think he needs any added motivation, but really stupid by their defensive player. And I bet Sean Payton can't be pleased.
No, I agree. Dave on Twitter says this: Bob, tell Cookie to watch the Wilson-Alexiak fight again. It was dirty. Wilson was punching him slightly behind. I just watched it several times. I did too, and I didn't like the fact he didn't give him an adequate opportunity to really get those gloves off. He just went after him. And even if Alexiak, who was only on the ice for less than 10 seconds, knew it was coming, he didn't have time really to prepare himself for that one.
Well, I think that's on him, Bob. I mean, I don't know that he wasn't chirping at Wilson as soon as they got on the ice, like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Alexiak begged him to fight last year. He couldn't have possibly been surprised when Wilson came at him. I just think it was an unfortunate punch, that's all.
Let me ask you something. If you had Tom Wilson, or you thought you could take him on your team, would you take him?
No, I don't. I don't like his style, even though he's a great player. He's shown no remorse. He's shown no indication of being able to change. I mean, Matt Cook was the same type of player, dirty player, but I think he made an effort to change his game to stay in the league. Now, maybe he wasn't as talented as Wilson is. I mean, Wilson's playing with Ovechkin. That ought to tell you something. So I wouldn't want him on my team, but I understand why there's a place for him.
I would if he would conform, and I would say this: in his last 34 games, he has 32 points. That's almost a point per game for a guy, and he's very important to space created for Alexander Ovechkin as well as Evgeny Kuznetsov. Let's go out to line 3. That would be Mike in Bethel Park. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, hey, guys. How you doing?
Oh, we're okay.
Good. Hey, I agree with Ron and you, what we've been talking about. Let's pray that the Steelers clinch this up for the Baltimore, Boston, win in Orleans. We don't need to have Burfict and company come in and train wreck one of our good players for the playoffs. And it's amazing the NFL tolerates this like the NHL does with Wilson. You have one guy out of a whole league that just train wrecks careers. They allow it. I just would like to see more action taken against those guys.
Well, you know, it's funny. I went back and looked at some of the take. Do you remember the, was it Donald Brashear play, Ron? Against, who was it, Moore?
I don't remember.
Okay, it was.
I can't remember.
Maybe it was Marty McSorley. I can't remember who. But there are guys who absolutely went after guys without them suspecting it all. Cheap shots it could have been. And back then, nobody said much about it. Ever since then,
Neanderthal league,
yeah, but ever since then, they have cracked down on concussions. And in doing so, they said they would like to get rid of that element. And yet, it still persists. Why does it persist?
Because a lot of people in the NHL are old school guys that think that should be a big part of the game. I don't.
I don't either. Let's go to Marilyn in Munhall. Hey, Marilyn, what's up?
Hi. I think you gentlemen, you and Gene did an admirable job last night weighing it when you didn't have the telephone service.
We didn't have anything last night, Marilyn. We were in trouble.
He thought that New Orleans would win, and that was before the Juju Smith-Schuster injury. What do you think it'll take for the Steelers to win on Sunday?
Well, a similar type of thing. Their defense has got to contain Drew Brees, who was contained for the last 3 games, or 4 games, really. It's been their defense that's taken over for them, and I will say this, Brees is really good against the blitz. That's one thing. He's number 1 in the NFL with a passer rating, but the thing I look at, Ron, is 3 of their offensive linemen are injured. They have a lot of different people playing out of position, in my view. I think that could be a problem for New Orleans.
Brees is not only good, he's good at home, too. His numbers at home versus on the road are staggeringly different. And I believe their last 3 games were all on the road, Bob, if I'm not mistaken. Now they're going to be home. It's going to be a challenge for the Steelers. I really don't know that I give them a big chance in this game. Sure, they have a chance. Anytime you have Ben, you got a chance. But I think it's going to be very difficult. I think what they really need is for Baltimore to lose. And then if you beat Cincinnati in the last game, you get in.
And keep this in mind. If Baltimore should win and the Steelers should lose, then they lose control of their destiny, and they could not even make the playoffs.
Well,
that's how critical this weekend is.
Beat Cincinnati, and Cleveland would have to beat Baltimore
which could
happen.
We're due for a break. We'll take it right now. Come back with more of your calls right here live on Pittsburgh CW.